Open Door is pleased to welcome Mary Oluonye. She is a writer and co-owner of Celmar Travel and Tours. Welcome to Open Door.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm really happy to have you. You know, we go back a few years and we have an affinity for a certain place on the continent called Africa. I know you're from Nigeria, and I'm claiming that I'm from Ghana. People can believe it or not, but I'm claiming Ghana right now. So we definitely have something in common. You have been traveling back and forth to the continent for a number of years, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with your position as a co-owner of Celmar Travel and Tours. So what I wanted to do was just bring our audience up to date on what the status of travel back and forth to the continent of Africa is. So it's 6 months after things have been shut down. Where do we stand now?
That's such a good question. Where do we stand now? Well, some countries are beginning to open cautiously, This pandemic, it really shut down countries everywhere. And now that countries are beginning to open, it's going to be slow and cautiously, especially in receiving visitors from countries that have higher incidences of this COVID infection. So countries are opening, and I'm talking all around the world, but specifically in Africa. Not all are open. Many are, but very cautious.
Mm-hmm. It's really kind of interesting when you talk about that caution, because America is one of the leading countries in terms of the number of cases and the number of deaths, whereas Africa is not a place where you have had a lot of incidences of disease or death from the virus. I know you're not a scientist or a doctor, but do you have any idea why that might be?
It's such an interesting thing. And I want to say I was there during the beginning of the pandemic. So I was in Nigeria, I was in Ghana, back and forth, and we were noting with alarm the numbers of people dying from this coronavirus, So we were looking at TV one day on BBC and saying, how is it possible that 300 people, 600 people have died in one day? And this was in Italy or somewhere. So in Africa, at least in Ghana and Nigeria, we were very aware of what was happening elsewhere and learning from what people were and were not doing in other countries. So in Ghana and Nigeria, and probably in many other countries, we began to be cautious early and practice social distancing early and shutting down things earlier than they did in Europe or they did in the United States. And I think some of that contributed to the numbers being much lower. But looking at it another way, no one can actually put their finger on what is going on, but it might have to do. I remember people speaking earlier about, this virus doesn't like heat, or it doesn't like the tropical weather, or maybe it's related to malaria, which is somewhat common in some countries in Africa, and that maybe there was some kind of resistance because we've been exposed to malaria before and been treated for malaria. Maybe it has to do with the herbal medicines. We don't know. But we know the rate of infection and death is anywhere near what is happening in the United States and what has happened in Europe and other countries of the world.
Yes. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but there was a drug that was touted as a wonder drug, and doctors here in America, at least a number of doctors, I'm not going to say a large number of doctors, but a number of doctors were saying that they were using hydroxychloroquine to treat the disease. And hydroxychloroquine is something that has probably been pervasively used on the continent of Africa for treating malaria. So there may be something to it, maybe not. We don't know. But I also find it interesting that hydroxychloroquine has been somewhat banned for use in certain countries. But I don't think Africa, the African countries have been affected to the extent that the United States and Canada and a few other countries have been impacted. So I find that quite interesting. Another thing that I find interesting is the fact that last year, it's like a record number of Africans from the diaspora returned to the continent. And within a year of that phenomenon, everything came to a stop. I'm not saying that it happened because of that, but what do you think about that?
Well, how do you mean? You mean that before COVID, let's say pre-COVID, a lot of African Americans were moving or visiting African countries. And then with COVID, their movement, shall we say, stopped or decreased a little bit.
Well, it stopped altogether because they shut the airports down. But I'm just reflecting on the year of return. 2019 was the year of return, and so many people returned to Ghana and other countries in Africa. But a lot of people came to Ghana, and then this happened, and all of a sudden that flow of Africans back to the continent stopped.
Of course, it was stopped because all the borders, they shut down. I mean, I was in Nigeria and had almost got stuck in Nigeria. I was trying to get back to Ghana, and I got back to Ghana maybe a day, less than 24 hours before they shut down all borders, air, sea, land. So you could not move. And that's how it's been. You can't even go between countries within Africa. How much more of coming from battleground USA, COVID, to come back over to Africa now? Africa, we're careful now. We're being very careful and strategic because we're not infected the way it has been in Europe and the Americas, and we don't want it. So it's got to be careful. This one is just common sense. They're not letting people in. People can't move around so easily.
Yes.
But what I do know from talking to people and online is that people are chomping at the bit to get out of the United States and go back.
Yes.
They're ready to try living elsewhere for a little bit and seeing how that would be.
Right.
So just because it has stopped doesn't mean the desire has gone anywhere. There are so many people I just couldn't believe from my research how many people are interested in leaving and how many people, because of our connection to the mother continent, are choosing to go or would like to get to Africa and just stay there for a while, just to take a break, get away from the hostility and everything that is happening here in the United States. And not only in the United States, and around the world. Total worldwide disrespect of people of African descent, Black people everywhere. Where sometimes we're disrespected globally, and a lot of people are now thinking they want to go back to Africa and try their hand in an African country. So I don't think that the interest has gone anywhere. In fact, I think the interest is increasing. It's just that we can't move around so easily. And I, for one, I'm glad that Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Botswana, Rwanda, all those countries, I'm glad that they're being very careful. They're not just going to open the door and let everyone just run in because you want to. They have to protect their own, country. Yes. Absolutely, they have to. But it doesn't mean they're not welcoming. It's just that we have to be very careful, strategic, safe,
Okay. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, just being aware of the fact that so many businesses were affected by the economic downturn that occurred. And then in the travel business, of course, the lifeblood of your business is people moving around the planet. And then all of a sudden, hey, y'all got to stop. How have you been able to manage in light of the fact that your business was affected to such an extreme degree?
Oh, well, we keep in touch with all our partners. We're all in this together. You know that cliche. We're all in this together. But believe it or not, people in the travel business have been working like crazy because in preparation for when travel does open again, it's going to really take off because people are, they just want to go somewhere. They want to travel. So we are still planning for 2021. People are booking already for 2021, but you have to be flexible. We have to stay flexible in case plans don't work out. But people are booking. And so we've just managed to hang in there. I know some people have closed businesses because the losses have been too great. Even airlines have gone out of business. How much more little businesses, small businesses, but a lot of us are hanging in there. As for me, of course, I pivot because I write as well, and I can do different kinds of programs. So that has helped. And plus, like everybody else in the world, we are lifelong learners. So all this online learning is taking place. I've been taking a lot of courses and learning new things and just to keep going. But I've found out that I've been extremely busy. It's almost busier than pre-COVID. How is that possible?
Right. So to follow up on what you just shared with us, I'm curious about the impact that this shutdown of the travel industry will have on future pricing. Are we going to expect prices to go up or down or stay where they were?
I think initially, there are two ways of looking at this. There will be some people who say, oh, let them try and do some great deals for you to entice people to travel again quickly. So that might happen in the beginning. But I think, this is just my thought, that the prices are going to increase because the airlines are going to increase because they have to adhere to safety protocols. That's added cost to them. And anything that's going to cost them more money is going to be passed on to the passengers too. And so that's one thing. And when you go to the country, you have these tests. Some of these countries you have to have taken the COVID test and tested negative. And even if you do test negative, some of these countries you're going to have to take the test again on arrival. And some of these countries, you have to take the test again 7 days or 10 days after that. So all of that adds cost. The hotels are going to have to make sure they're following protocol and extra sanitizations, extra staff. So that's going to cost. So I'm thinking the prices should go up a little bit.
Okay. That's some great information, and we're going to continue our conversation about the pricing, and we're also going to talk about why going to Africa is a good idea that you should think about. We'll be back with Mary Oluonye, writer and co-owner of Celmar Travel and Tours, right after this on 95.9 FM, WOVU, a Burton Belcar community radio station.
We are WOVU 95.9 FM. Our voices united. United to enhance our community. United to be a beacon of hope. United to empower our community. WOVU 95.9. Our voices united.
We're back on Open Door with Mary Oluonye, writer and co-owner of Celmar Travel and Tours, which she has informed me will be changing names in the relatively near future. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But before we took the break, we were talking about whether or not you'll see a rise in the prices for traveling around the globe as a result of the pandemic. And you intimated that the companies, the hotels and the airlines and other businesses that are involved will have to undertake certain measures to deal with the virus. And as a result, some of those costs will be passed on to customers.
Yes, definitely. You want the customers, travelers, you want to stay safe. Mm-hmm. And staying safe has a cost. And so we'll share the cost. So just don't be shocked if you do see some price increases. I don't know how great the increase will be, but I don't think it's something that will break, it won't be something that will cause you not to go.
Okay.
I don't think it will be that high.
So to put it in perspective, can we talk about what the average cost of, say, a 2-week journey to the continent would be pre-COVID and what you anticipate it to be afterwards? And I know it depends on, what tours you take and the level of your accommodations, but just generally speaking, what kind of money do you think folks will have to spend in order to have a trip like that?
Okay, I think, of course, it also depends on your airline and which seats you want on your airline. It will also depend on where you stay once you're there. Say you're going to stay in a hotel, a 3-star or 4-star hotel. That would make a difference. So I just say if you're going to go, pre-COVID, you could get a flight from, say, New York to Accra, and that could cost you around $1,200, maybe, round trip. And that's on the higher end, $1,200 to $1,500 round trip. So then if you go and you did a tour, depending on the type of tour you wanted, it could come anywhere from $1,800 to $2,000. So if I were you, I'd look at $3,500 if you wanted a tour where you toured the country and stayed in a 3 to 4-star hotel and everything was all inclusive. But that's for touring. If you just want to go and you just want to go to a city and just find out, take day tours, your price would be much cheaper. We were trying to price out a tour for a travel agent with a group of people coming in next year. And they know they want to stay in a 4-star hotel. They know they want to stay 8 days, 7 nights. They know they want us to take care of the tour guides, the transportation, entertainment, blah, blah, blah. That would cost them approximately on the ground in Ghana with us taking care of all of that. Right now, flexible, because we're kind of guessing, that would be about $2,800 minus airfare.
Okay.
Plus, anyone traveling, I must add in this, is make sure you buy traveler's insurance that will cover cancel flights, lost luggage, healthcare in case anything happens, and you have to get some healthcare or you have to be flown back. These are things to think about now. So that gives you a general idea, but that's just for if you want to go on a tour.
Okay. So
a lot of people are flexible. It depends on what you want and who you talk to, who you know. If we custom design, if you just want to go there and do everything on your own piecemeal.
Okay.
So the price is so variable.
Right. I just wanted to give folks an idea, and I'm not advertising your business or advertising your packages, but just so folks have a rough idea of how much money they're going to have to spend if they want to make that kind of trip. But I think you made it clear that the price depends on the experience that you want to have. So you can have the first class and, the 4-star hotel and all of that, or you can be adventurous and maybe not have that same experience and get a little bit more intimate with the folks over across the water.
Exactly. And people are so welcoming, and they're little what do you call these things? Airbnbs or little rooms you can rent in some places.
Mm-hmm.
So, we do a lot of things. If people wanted, say, to experience things that way, then we can link them up with people that can help them that way.
Okay. Yeah. So I need to ask this question because, when people plan their vacations, a lot of times it's the exotic place. So they might go to Jamaica or they might go to somewhere in the Caribbean. Some folks like to go to Europe. What would you say is a reason to go to Africa rather than going to either of the two destinations that I just mentioned?
Okay, Africa. You've called me the Africa woman. People are beginning to say, "Hey, she's the Africa woman." I'm a Nigerian, number one.
Right.
Number two, I understand the American side because my mother is an American. My father is a Nigerian. I grew up, and I tell you, from childhood to adulthood, between straddling Nigeria some years, America some years, but my foundation, my outlook is Africa. That's where people of African descent, all of us, we're from Africa. There's something about Africa. Once you get there, you feel it. When you leave, you'll miss it. Africa, there's something that pulls people to her. I don't know what it is.
Yes. Well, let me testify, okay, while you're on that point, because what you're saying is exactly correct. I can remember a few trips ago, I was standing in the airport with tears running out of my eyes because I was leaving.
Oh,
so, and I didn't know why I was crying. I figured it out once I got back. I don't want to say got home because I consider that home, but once I got back to America, I kind of figured it out. But you are absolutely correct about that. Excuse me for interrupting your thought, but I just I just had to throw that in there.
I know it's something. It's there. And also for African Americans and people of African descent anywhere in the diaspora, we have a genetic link to Africa. There's that heritage that is there. And I don't know, maybe that's part of it. It's in our DNA. We can't help it. And another thing, Africa has some of the most welcoming, hospitable, courteous people. They're so welcoming and they make you feel really appreciated and wanted and valued. You're going to a country where people look like you and they just care about you as a human being one-on-one. Those are some things. Also, the land is so varied and so beautiful. You can find the beaches, you can find the hills, you can find the valleys, you can find rivers. It's just a beautiful place. And then you have the pace of life is a little bit slower in some places. Not that we don't have magnificent, vibrant cities that can rival any in the world.
Say that again.
Because, we have cities.
Yeah, right. Because, folks for some reason think that you get off the plane and then you get bum rushed by elephants and lions and giraffes and whatnot. And, there's jungle everywhere. And, when you stay somewhere, you're staying in a hut because of what they've been shown on television and in movies. But Africa, as you just pointed out, is an extremely diverse continent. It's one of the largest continents on the face of the earth with over 50 countries and different people at different places and, different kinds of topography and whatnot. So, you mentioned that the beaches and the mountains and the valleys, but what other kinds of things can you see if you visit?
And the rainforests too. And then the cultures. Africa has so many different cultures and traditions there. So that's a major thing. Plus the food. And plus the entrepreneurship and the business opportunity that is in Africa. Africa is a young continent. You have these young, sophisticated, intelligent, entrepreneurial young people. I mean, if they had the opportunity and if they had the access to even just equipment and basics that we have here, they would be ruling the whole world, though. Africa would be the number one place because of the innovation, the resilience that you can find in Africa, an African country and the youth there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we have it all. We have minerals. The whole world wants what we have. That's why everybody's coming to Africa. Why? It's not for just to be friends and let's party and whatnot. No. A lot of these people from other countries are coming to see what they can take from Africa, buy out of Africa, exploit Africa for. So we have to be very careful and strategic in Africa right now, because we're poised on becoming one of the dominant, we could become one of the dominant continents in this world.
Okay, well, I'm going to take that and project it into the future and say that we will become dominant. Could you talk about the importance of African Americans considering possibly living there or doing business there?
Yes, well, I'm working on some things to encourage people to do just that. Because I know from the way I grew up, I know where I come from. I had the mindset of an African. I mean, I've always been free and independent and do whatever I want to and not have to worry about what anybody of any other race may think of me. And a part of that is because when we were growing up in Nigeria, something about growing up in an African country, it increases your sense of self and your own self-value and your belief in yourself. So I think that one of the best things we can do for our children, young people, especially in this United States now, the way it is now, where they devalue everything Black, our kids can become stronger, more resilient if they had the opportunity to live at least for a little bit of time in another country, so that they know that all that exists in the United States is not all that there is in the world, that they are valued, intelligent, highly prized people. So that's one reason I like people should consider moving to an African country.
Okay. What I'd like to do right now is take another break. And when we come back, let's talk about what it takes to move there and live there successfully. And I know you're writing a book on that, and you've already written on that. And I don't want you to give everything away, but I do want you to give folks a few clues of things that they should consider if they want to make that move. Because I can tell you a lot of people are thinking right now, I got to get out of here, and that's the place for me to go, and I will never come back. And there are folks who have done that. But let's talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson, and my guest is Mary Oluonye. She's a writer and the co-owner of Celmar Travel and Tours. And we'll be right back on 95.9 FM WOVU after these messages. What can you do in the battle against COVID-19? Your first task, wear a mask, protect yourself and others. Armor up, armor up. Give those hands a 20-second shower with soap and water. Armor up, armor up. Give others space 6 feet just in case. Armor up, armor up. Get good nutrition, ingest for digestion. Armor up, armor up. Vitamin C, D3, and more. Armor up, armor up. Elderberries, zinc, and echinacea from the store. Armor up, armor up. Get some fresh air. Go climb some stairs. Armor up, armor up. Let go of stress. Make sure you rest. Armor up, armor up. Your breath is the key to life. Strengthen your immune system, follow the guidelines, and win the battle against COVID-19. Armor up, armor up.
When you're in my car, we're listening to WOVU 95.9 FM.
Back on Open Door with Mary Oluonye, co-owner of Celmar Travel and Tours, writer, and she's also a guitarist. I saw that video that you put up there, and I was like, wow, she's not a beginner. She's been doing this for a while, but you reconnecting with it and, expressing yourself musically, which is a beautiful thing.
Well, thank you for that.
Yes. We'll have to do a duet sometime.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. So before we took the break, we're talking about why folks should go to Africa. And we also spoke about the idea that some people may want to move there and live there for the rest of their lives. Without giving away the entire contents of your book on the subject, what kinds of things do you think folks need to consider if they want to make that move?
Okay. I forgot to answer fully the other question before the break.
Okay.
I wanted to also say that, there's also opportunity in business for people who may wish to move to Africa too. So
Okay.
moving for the kids, children, and then moving for families, and then moving for business opportunities. Okay. Well, some of the things people should think about. I have something I call 13 questions you need to ask if you're going to move to an African country, if you're thinking about moving. And one of those things would be, of course, which country, because we have 54 countries and with different regions, and they're all different. They all have their own kind of personalities. Like the North is different from the South, it's different from the West, different from the East. So you'd have to figure out that. Their languages, some because of colonial, how do you say the word?
Colonial.
Thank you. We have Francophone Africa. There's Anglophone, English-speaking, French-speaking, Portuguese-speaking. So that would affect, that decision. You also have to think about things like the climate, the people. Very important thing to think about is your health care. You want to know if you have any chronic health care issues. Moving to Africa may or may not be the best decision you can make. So you have to be very careful you have to investigate healthcare, And another sneaky little thing to think about is your Social Security and pension payments, how you get them, and if you work, and Uncle Sam knows that you're working, does that affect your Social Security payments? You could lose them if you're not careful.
Okay. So let me ask this question while you're on that point. If you're earning income in a foreign country, you have to report that to America?
You should. That's the law.
Okay.
And then you're going to be taxed on that too.
Mm-hmm.
America is different from other countries that way. They will tax all your global income. Wherever you go, their hands will reach.
That is amazing. And it's quite telling, too. I mean, you're earning outside of the country, and they're going to reach across the ocean and dip into your pocket.
They're going to try so hard. Yes.
Wow.
So those are some of the things you want to ask yourself. And also, whatever you do, I always recommend that, people want to move and they're really ready to move fast. But making a move, it's big. It's a big decision. And you want to be as informed as possible in order to make the best decision for you. Because you don't want to get over there and find out, this is not what I thought. This is not what I wanted. You go looking on Facebook, you go looking on YouTube, you see all these videos. Of course, they're going to be glowing. A lot of them are glowing and how everybody should be there. But you need to know the pros and the challenges because there are.
Yes. And I will say that I have been one of those people to watch the videos on YouTube. And there are some folks who will tell you, what the real is. They'll tell you what the challenges might be. So it's not that folks are being completely untransparent about the experience. But, the bottom line is some people are built for it and some folks aren't.
And some folks aren't. And also one little thing to do is also make sure that when you do go, you realize you're leaving the United States so that the expectations you have, you don't want to bring in some preconceived notions or preconceived expectations when you get there, because it's a whole different cultures. It's a whole different place, and it will take a while for you to
To make that
actually
adjustment.
come. Yes,
Yes.
it takes sometimes a lifetime before you feel that you are really in it. So some people go and they want to be recognized as brother and sister. We call ourselves brother, sister, like your cousins, brothers, sisters, very quickly. But no, sometimes it takes time for that kind of a relationship to happen.
Yes.
So you don't want to go there and expect it right away and then get that sense of disappointment and then leave or tell people no, they didn't like me, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while.
Yeah, and if I could just reflect on experiences that I've had over there, a lot of it depends on the country that you go to. I mean, there was a world of difference between two neighboring countries, Egypt and Sudan. And I will tell you that, my experience in Sudan in relation to the people, I enjoyed much greater than I did in Egypt.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Why do you think so?
Let's see. I don't know. Maybe the people, are they more, is there an Arab versus African
Kind of,
influence?
sort of, but even just the atmosphere, walking the streets of Luxor and Aswan and inhaling all that cigarette smoke, and then going to Sudan and not seeing very many people smoke at all. I mean, that was huge. I've been stigmatized for the rest of my life because I just abhor cigarette smoke. And in Egypt, everybody smokes.
You see, different personalities. The countries have their own characteristics, and it's not everybody you like. Mm-hmm. It's the same with countries. It's not everybody you like. It's like in the United States. It's not every region you like.
Right. Yeah. And two, when you were making your statements about expectations, you can't go over to a country in Africa and expect people to treat you like, because you're an American, you're entitled to first class customer service. Folks think that because they're used to the customer always being right, they can go to Africa and carry that same mentality. And you will learn quickly that if you have that expectation, it's not going to be met.
It's not. You just don't want to do that.
Yes.
You don't want to do that. It's just so disrespectful. Mm-hmm. You don't want to bring what you're leaving, what you didn't like about where you came from. You don't want to take that same attitude elsewhere.
Yes. Yeah. So you mentioned hospital care as being a primary concern. What are some of the things that you want to make sure that you take if you are going to make a move that you might not be able to find so easily in Africa?
Are you speaking about healthcare?
No, I'm speaking about just implement things that you might bring to live there permanently, like maybe, certain appliances or just certain kinds of things that you would be better off taking as opposed to going there to obtain.
For me, and for a lot of people I know, absolutely just bring your clothes, bring yourself, because sometimes some people say, okay, let me bring the car, just to find out the car is too big for the roads. They don't have the parts. It's going to be more expensive to maintain that car. So you can just get yourself a car over there. Same thing with furniture, unless it has that sentimental value. Why not save yourself some money, because you will need to have some kind of cushion, added to the money you're going to take, and then just have something made or you purchase in the country. I mean, some of the furniture that it's made over there by the local people, I mean, fantastic furniture. Some of that furniture will cost you a mint here in the United States, but might cost you a whole lot less over there.
And it will be better constructed, of more quality materials, real wood instead of pressboard.
Exactly. So those are some little things to think about. I mean, if you have medicines and you can get your medicine, like some prescription medications you need, then you can see if you can take as much as you can with you. I mean, it's not saying that you cannot get common medicines over there, but that's what I would take,
Yes.
prescriptions. But things like furniture, appliances,
Yes.
artwork, you
Mhm.
can get all of that there and
Right.
just save the money.
Yes.
You
Now,
know.
some of those prescriptions and some of that medicine might be cheaper in Africa. I know, you have to have malaria, anti-malaria medication to take that trip, and they suggest that you take it for a couple of weeks before you leave. But I know when I was there, I ran out and I had to get some more, and I just had my prescription slip, and I went to a pharmacy and they filled it. And when they told me how much it was, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe how inexpensive it was. Talk about the cost of living. What advantages might you have in terms of cost of living if you were deciding that you wanted to live in Africa?
Of course, now it will depend on the country and depends on the city, because of course city living costs a lot more sometimes than living out in further away from the big cities. And if you're one of those people who want to stay around expats, foreigners where they are, it's going to cost you more. You can go into the millions. I know in Nigeria, we have people, multimillionaires living there too. So it depends on how you want to cut your coat, the style of life you want. But if, say, you're somebody basic, it's not basic, but just say, okay, you don't have that much money.
You have a pension.
Yeah, you have a pension. Like for people who want to retire to a nice place, and there are a lot of people who are thinking, I would like to move to an African country where the pace of life is slower, peaceful. I can have household help to help me. I have my pension, so I don't really have to kill myself working, which you can't. It's hard to get a job over in African countries because there are restrictions to working, But I figure you could manage on $1,200, anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 a month. You might be able to. I mean, really living well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
Yeah.
you could do it much less, but you can. And most of the people in the country certainly live way below that.
Right.
So if they can live way below that and are having a good time and everything is, I'm not talking abject poverty at all. I'm talking comfortable.
Yes.
Then you can.
Well,
You can make it work. Anywhere you go, you can make it work. But one thing you should know, in many countries, you'll have to pay if you're going to rent, you have to pay a whole year
in advance.
Upfront, yes. Sometimes
yes.
it's even 2 years, but you can negotiate down.
Right. I just want to point out our friend Mama Fossey moved to Ghana last year, and when she told me how much she paid up front for rent, I was astounded. She said she paid $1,400, I think, $1,450 or something like that. Her rent amounted to $120 a month. So
can you imagine?
Can you imagine? I'm imagining that. I'm savoring that thought, and I'm looking forward to, maybe doing the same thing myself. Mary, it has been a joy to talk to you. The time has gone by so quickly, and unfortunately, we are out of time. So we're going to have to continue this conversation.
We should, because I'm going to go in next year. I'm going, and anyone who wants to come with us to investigate how we're moving there.
Okay, so you're going to make me do another 15 minutes. Okay. Hold on, everybody. Mary Oluonye has just given me a reason to extend this show another 15 minutes. We'll be right back with more Open Door with Mary Oluonye right after this. Open Door Cleveland looks at the lives of people here and abroad, navigating the realms of art, culture, and society. I'm Vince Robinson. Tune in for inspired conversation with an array of guests and subject matter experts right here on 95.9 FM WOVU, Monday mornings at 11. Stream us live at WOVU.org or enjoy us live by purchasing the WOVU app from your favorite app store. Open Door Cleveland, Monday mornings at 11 on 95.9 FM WOVU, a Burtonville Car community radio station.
My name is Robert Johnson Jr.
This is Corey Jenkins.
And Courtney Jenkins.
This is Artemis Carter.
Hi, this is Anita Isom.
This is Delvis Valentine.
This is Susan Lacotte.
Eric Nolan is in the building.
I am Talitha Kube, and you're listening to 95.9 FM WOVU.
We're back with Mary Oluonye on Open Door on 95.9 FM WOVU, and we have been talking about the idea of traveling across the Atlantic Ocean and putting up stakes in the ground on Africa. And you were expressing to me that you were planning some things for next year. Tell us about what you were going to bring to us.
Okay. I'm planning, along with my partners in Ghana, to have a trip to Ghana. We'll start with Ghana. We might possibly go to Nigeria, might possibly also go to the Gambia. But this trip is specifically not touring, but to investigate actually moving. So this is to help decide where we're going to move and, deciding on a country, and when we are in the country, where in that country, and learning everything there is to find out in terms of cost of living, where you're going to live, what you need to know, immigration, business opportunities, how you can work, how you can make money legally. So it's going to be we call it an exploratory trip of some sort, like a relocation trip. And planning that for maybe June, July, or late July to coincide with PANAFest too, because PANAFest 2021 will be going on in Ghana at that time, which is the Pan-African Festival.
Okay. Yeah, talk about PANAFest for a few, if you could.
Well, PANAFest is a festival that happens every 2 years, and it's just a celebration of Pan-Africanism in Ghana. And other countries do it too, but it's just a tribute and to our connections, heritage connections.
Mm-hmm. And our brother Halevi in Cape Coast is very prominent in terms of the planning and the execution of that festival. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you met him?
I have not. I think I met his wife.
Okay.
I think I was there. I think is it Mabel's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Mabel's Table.
Mabel's Table.
Yes.
Is that his wife, I think?
Yeah, Mabel is his wife.
Okay. I have a picture of she and I at the restaurant there. Yes. Oh. Yes. So sometimes we take our clients over there too, on our tours. Yeah. Right.
And they're actually right next door to another expat that set up what do they call them? They don't call them guest houses, and they don't
like
call it
One Africa.
Yeah, One Africa, right next door.
Resort. She was like the spa and resort.
Okay.
One Africa.
Yes.
Mama Africa, I call her.
Okay. Yeah.
Imakus.
Imakus, yes. I had the pleasure of meeting her as well. Delightful lady, and she and Halevi actually moved to Africa somewhere around the same time from the same place in the world. I think they're both, I could be wrong, but I think they're both from Mount Vernon, New York.
Okay. She's very funny. She's a feisty woman, African woman. Mm-hmm. She was just speaking. She was in Rwanda. And she just spoke on a dialogue about human trafficking. Mm-hmm. Yes, that was last week, I think that was. Okay. So she gets around, but she's one who came to Africa, Ghana, and that is her. She owns that One Africa spa and resort, and that's an iconic attraction in Ghana right now, right by the ocean.
Yes.
One of my favorite places to be.
Yes. As you sit there and you enjoy your lunch or your dinner and you just hear the roar of the ocean and you look out over the water, it's a beautiful thing.
And if you turn to the right there, you can see one of those castles. Mm-hmm. Remember? Mm-hmm.
Elmina is the one that's to the right.
Exactly.
Yes. It's kind of between, well, not between, because Cape Coast is right there where one of the dungeons is. But yes. If you look down to the right, you can actually see the Elmina dungeon on a clear day. There are a number of other things to do in Ghana since we're speaking of it. The Kakum National Forest, which is the number one tourist attraction, despite what folks might think are the number one tourist attractions. It's that forest.
Yes, it's amazing with the canopy walk.
Mm-hmm.
And in Ghana, there are so many places. I've been all over because we go on the road too, because we need to know exactly where we're taking our clients. And so sometimes we'll do our own tour. Our tour managers make us go all over the country, some grueling rides. But they have one place now where they do paragliding up in the mountains, and they've just redone all the roads leading to this location, and then you can go off the top of the hill. It's just beautiful. Because of the year of return, the government has put in a lot of improvements in the infrastructure of the roads, leading to some of these lesser visited attraction sites in Ghana. Yes, so it's amazing places, amazing. So next time you go to Ghana, you have to come on do a really big road trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I have been in a lot of the central area, Accra and Atonkwa and Cape Coast and Elmina. I took a day trip to Takoradi with the Nana Aduakwa and Nana Kramana. But I haven't been to the Volta region. I haven't been to other parts of the country which have their own distinct features.
Exactly. And like Nzulezo, that's one of my favorite places. That's a village on stilts that's been there for 600 plus years. And they have over 1,000 plus people living on the water. They migrated from Timbuktu long time ago as they were fled from slave traders and other enemies. And they kept going until they got to this lake. There's a beautiful story to it. It's completely on stilts. So next time you go, you should visit Nzulezo.
Yes. Well, the next time I go, I'm not looking to do the tour thing. I'm looking to go over by myself and hang out with a few folks that I know over there and get a different picture, a different view of Ghana.
Yes. See, if I were going and I wanted to think about, and I'm thinking about moving anywhere, I want to immerse myself more into the culture. I would kind of not go do the touristy thing. I want to see where everybody's living. I would prefer not to stay in enclaves where there are foreigners and expats, because I want to feel not separated from the people, So you become more immersed in the local population. Not that it's only them, but, so you're not, because sometimes you move to a country and you find out that the foreigners all live in a certain space behind the walls somewhere. And that is probably, you don't get the full flavor of the country when that happens.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah, it's like you're isolating yourself from everyone else. So how can you feel a part of them, and how could they feel a part of you if you've got a wall between you?
Exactly.
Yes. Can you talk about some of the other countries that you visited and what you found interesting about them?
Well, of course, I like my own Nigeria. Nigeria has a bad rap. It just has a bad rap. But honestly, the last time I was there, it was as though I'd never been there, because I spent so much time in Lagos, which is, who doesn't know about Lagos?
Right.
Yeah, so I was in Lagos. I could not see everything at all. It was just so amazing, dynamic, but people don't, they don't give Nigeria a chance because, we have bad press. But we're going to change that. We're going to change that narrative.
Well, let me ask, is the bad press justified, or is it a fallacy?
No, some of it is true. Some of it is true, like in America here. I'm saying, the United States is just as bad or even worse.
Right.
What's going on in Nigeria? At least I could walk around and I didn't think I could just be killed just because. Like now I'm in America, I'm beginning to be careful when I drove to Chicago in the United States, when I took the back roads by myself or to Chicago, everybody was scandalized that I did that because they were so worried for me. Meanwhile, in a village in Africa, I go out walking in the morning. Nowhere did I ever feel one bit scared or worried that something could happen to me. I never felt any twinge of anxiety,
Yes.
I don't know how I got off on that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meandered.
Well, you were just talking about, being in Lagos and,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just give it. We have some bad apples, but there's so much that is so good.
Mm-hmm. We just have a few moments left on the show, and I didn't want to exclude the transformation that your business is going to take. So it is Celmar Travel and Tours, but it's going to become something else.
Yes, it's Celmar Travel and Tours USA and Ghana. We're sister companies, and they're owned by the same people. I have my Ghanaian partners and co-owners, the U.S., and we're the same company. But in the U.S., we're going to be doing business as West Africa Travel Planners, so that it's more descriptive of what we do.
Okay, so
but it's basically the same. It's the same company.
Yeah, so most of the tourism that you facilitate is to West Africa.
We will specialize in West Africa, but we also do. We work with partners in South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya. Yeah, so far we work in those countries a lot.
Okay.
So we'll specialize in West Africa, but we do other countries as well.
Okay. So at present, if someone was interested in taking advantage of what you guys can do, how would they reach you?
They can come and go to celmartravelandtours.com for now. We're working on our new website, but for now, you can find me at Celmar Travel and Tours, or you can email me. There's at mary@maryolonye.com.
Okay. Celmar is Celmar, and spell your
travel.
last. Okay. I just want to get to Celmar because folks can spell travel, but they might not get Celmar right.
Oh, okay. You see, that's why we had to say, okay, let's change it up a little bit. So West Africa Travel Planners, they'll be able to remember that a little easier. But Celmar is CELMAR Travel and Tours.
And Oluonye?
And you can always email me, and then I can tell you more at Mary at Mary OLUONYE.com.
There you go. Mary Oluonye, co-owner
Yes.
of Celmar Travel and Tours, soon to become something else that we just discussed, and writer and guitarist and a beautiful woman. Thank you so much for being on Open Door. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, thank you so much, Brother Vince. Thank you so much.
All right. You're very welcome. I'd like to close today's show with a poem shared during Glossy, the Great Lakes African American Writers Conference, seen around the world this past weekend, originating in Cleveland, Ohio. Do not attempt to adjust your internet. We are taking control. We will return it to you once you are clued in. Welcome to WWWFYM, better known as Free Your Mind, or deeper still, the Aquarian Connection, home of the extra spiritual beings, keepers of the melanin, masters of the rhythm that mark the passage of time, entering a new realm of energetic syncopation to resurrect a nation, indivisible, with love, peace, and power for all, united by truth and the call of all who have come before us. Genetic linkage strengthening bonds and determination, changing reality before our eyes. Unseen, having no emotion but affecting motion through space and creation of vision that becomes reality before our eyes. Free your mind. know your destiny. Peace.